Hello friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Juan. I'm a yarn addict, hence the name Juan the Yarn Addict, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for stopping by to check out my video today. This is a yarn and crochet channel where we talk about all things yarn and all things crochet, so if that interests you, please sit back and watch this video because today, my friends, once again, we're caking up vintage yarns. So, the response has been overwhelming. Just a few days ago, I did a video caking up vintage yarns. You'll see that on my channel. And many people have reached out asking me to continue doing that. They're like, hey Juan, cake up some more vintage yarns while we work on our whips. It's so much fun just listening to you just talk about all the things while you cake up yarn and you talk about the yarn, you know. And so, yeah, the response has been positive. It's been great. So much so that I pushed my plans to the side to do this video. Actually, I was going to do another Whip It with Juan, but yeah. This took priority because everyone's been asking for it, so here we are. So, as you saw in the thumbnail, I'm holding a basket of vintage yarns, and so, yeah, no rhyme, no reason. I'm just picking it up and caking it and all the things. So, I have a skein here that I want to start with. I'm going to show you the skein here. It feels so good. So, it's Red Heart Super Saver, and the colorway is called Butterfly. So that's what it looks like up close. It's so pretty. It's got all the things to it. So I don't know how old it is. All I know is you can't buy this in the store right now. So that's good enough for me. And so I just have to unwind this outside part because it looks like it was just, you know, it looks like a project was started with it and then it was frogged back, and instead of balling the entire skein up, this is what this turned out to be. So before we get out of control and things turn into knots, let me go ahead and start the caking with this. Okay, so what I do with my cakes, okay, I don't know if you can see this here. This is a completed cake. The colorway is Candy, and what I do with my cakes to start is I create a slip knot with my yarn, okay? That way, when I grab the cake to work it, I don't have to fuss with it. I just stick the hook in, tighten up the yarn, and I go to town. You know, it's a time saver. It just makes sense. And so I start just like that. And then I sit the knot right up against this post here, so it doesn't really go anywhere. And then I wrap it in here. And then, oops, let's do that again. Nice and slow, just to get started. There we go. And I like to hold the yarn to apply added tension to it, because if you add extra tension to your wind, the ball or the cake can actually go bigger. You know, but if you have a loose wind, you can't really go big with your cake. So I like a tight wind. It's acrylic yarn. You know, if it was natural fibers, I would be telling you a completely different story right now. By all means, don't pull on your natural fibers. Just let it go however it goes. But acrylic is different. You know, acrylic, you know, obviously you don't want to pull super tight, but you can apply tension to it and it's fine. In my experience anyway, you know? Okay, so here we go. And I imagine this was a larger skein. Yeah, it was a larger skein. So how many, this was 5 ounces, 236 yards, 215 meters, and they suggest a 5mm crochet hook, a US H8. So that's cool. And I used my arm to hold down the table. It's a TV dinner table, you know? It's portable, I can move it around the house, it's comfortable, you know, I like that for us. So I like to cake up my yarns in the squirrel's nest next door behind this wall here. There's a whole room behind there. If you're new to my channel, welcome, by the way. Yeah, we do all the things in this house. I've turned my house into like my yarn den, my squirrel's nest. So this is the studio where I do most of my filming, but next door is my squirrel's nest. I have a lazy boy recliner in there, a wall full of yarn, bins of yarn, and it's just a very comfortable place to hang out and crochet in. Sometimes I put on the TV, but most of the time when I put the TV on, it's YouTube. It's YouTube. I mean, I'm watching all of my favorite content creators and, you know, just crocheting away, having all the fun, you know. And I also do my Facebook Lives in that room sometimes as well, where we just hang out and just have a good time, enjoy each other's company, you know. So that's fun. In here, it's like my office, you know, / studio. So I have my computer, my paperwork, you know, all the things. My printer is over here. So, but the closet that's right next to the camera over here, that's filled with yarn. I still have to pull all that out and organize it. Just yarns from yesteryear, you know. Actually, more specifically, those are yarns that belonged to my grandmother and my aunt. For sentimental reasons, I don't go in there. But one of these days, I'll muster up the courage to open the doors and just dig into those yarns. Yeah, it's almost like sacred territory. It's my good luck charm, you know? So whenever I'm feeling down in the dumps, I just look at the closet, and it just gives me the positive energy that I need to get through whatever it is that I'm going through. So, yeah. Just very, very special yarns in there. They're all acrylic yarns. You know, my grandmother and my aunt, they were all like, I'm saying all of them like there was 20 of them. It's just 2 people. My grandmother and my aunt, you know, they were very special people to me, and they were value queens, okay? They went to Woolworths. They went and got whatever it is that they used all the time, which was Red Heart Super Saver, and Care on 1 pound. That's what they bought, you know. And of course, okay, fine. They went to Kmart. They got the sale yarn, you know. They bought all of that. But the projects that they made were absolutely beautiful. I remember the one blanket that my aunt made. It was baubles, you know, rows of baubles, and then 5, you know, double crochets, and then rows of baubles, you know. Beautiful projects that she made for all the kids, you know. And she was also known for making moss stitch blankets, but also changing the colors every row. So that was cool. I used to be like, all of those ends. She was like, no. So we don't sew in ends here, okay? I remember she used to say that. She was like, it's fringe, Juan. It's fringe, you know. So she was notorious for the fringe, which was nice, you know. Not everything has to be high maintenance. You know, it was made with love, and that's all that matters, you know. So, and then of course she really had those fancy projects that she did. Like, she did one blanket. I mean, nowadays it's simple, you know, many people do it. But back in the day, it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't common. So like the mile a minute, you know, back in the day, that was like, wow, look at that. You know, whereas today, everyone can do it. So it just goes to show how times have changed. But yeah, I'd watch her do all the stitches. She taught me how to do a popcorn stitch without taking out your hook. You know, it's just the way you work the yarn. It's so fun. Anyway, I prefer taking my hook off of the project, going over and connecting it that way. To me, it's cleaner, you know, but my aunt was like, as long as it's made with love, Juan, what does it matter? You know what I mean? But times have changed. It's not the 90s anymore, you know. Nowadays, you know, you make a project, you invest your time in it, you try to make it as nice as you possibly can. At least I do, you know. But there is one tradition that I do carry on. I don't like to sew in my ends. So when, if possible, I don't. I don't sew in my ends unless I have to, you know. Nope. Okay, so here we are, this beautiful cake, butterfly, Gorgeous. Love this for us. So I'm putting this right here. Now, let me look at the recipe here. I call the patterns recipes. This is giving us like a rouge hat. That's nice, but I think, is it knit? I don't know. Look at this. See the hat? Interesting. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put the recipes inside the cakes until I go to use the cake. And then once the cake is done, I'll put the recipe in the recipe binder. I have a binder filled with recipes. I mean, yeah, I love a good recipe. And so there we go, butterfly. It's gorgeous under the lights, right? So nice and vibrant. Okay, I'm here for that. We're gonna sit that right there, okay? So moving on to the next skein. I'm eyeballing these two skeins. They came from two different people, so it was almost meant for me to actually work it up. So the colorway here is called Earthy. It's beautiful. Look at this. Isn't that nice? It's very muted, very earthy tones. Love that. So we're going to work this up. This here is 5 ounces, 141 grams, 236 yards, 215 meters. And the recipe here is giving us a scarf. So the hat was here. This is the scarf. Maybe not the same exact one, but what a coincidence, right? That one was a hat and now this one is a scarf. So that's cool. Very nice. Made in the USA, of imported fibers. So there is that, Coates & Clark, Greenville, South Carolina. So, okay. Well, anyway, we're going to move on with Earthy, okay? And I have 2 skeins of this. So what I'm going to try and do, I need to see if this holds 10 ounces of yarn, okay? I've yet to try it. I think it will, but we're about to find out. So I'm going to go ahead and create a slip knot like I always do. I don't know if everyone does this, but this is how I do it. I put a slip knot here. It just makes it easier for me to grab and then just to immediately work. Now I wonder, what is the hook size recommendation for this? So this is a 5.5 millimeter recommendation, otherwise known as an I9. Medium 4, machine wash and dry, 100% acrylic. Well, we knew all that already. Anyway, let's go ahead and go slow. Now wrap this around here. Okay, wrap it around, go nice and slow. And I like to apply tension because remember, if you're working your winder here with tension, you have a nice tight cake. You can actually go a little larger, which is what I intend on doing. My goal here is to put both of these skeins into one. So that's the goal here. Now I'm not pulling too hard. You know, you see it's winding nice and smooth. You know, it's doing all the things over here, which is great. But you will see, like, the cake will actually start touching this pole here. Once it starts knocking at it like this, you know you're done. Because if you continue, it'll start getting caught onto your cake and it'll be a hot mess. One time I was caking up Premier Puzzle, and I said to myself, oh, don't worry, Juan. You could put a whole entire skein of Premier Puzzle all on one cake. It was a disaster. It got caught onto the pole. And then it got caught underneath here. It was just this whole thing. It was ridiculous. I was like, Juan, why did you even try to do that? You shouldn't have done that. But I did. I said I had to be the one to at least try it to see, you know? Anyway, it's so sad that some of these colorways are just not readily available at your local Joann's or Michael's, you know? Because how awesome would it be to be able to do an entire, like, Afghan out of Earthy? You know? You don't even need a neutral color. It's already here. You have all the neutrals. All you need to focus on is your pattern, your design. And there you have it. You know? It would turn out gorgeous. Or you can even pull one of these colors, these accent colors, you know, or pull one of the colors from, you know, the overall color story and then make it an accent color. How awesome would that be? You know? So I have two of these skeins, right? So combined, what are we looking at combined? So 235 yards, right? 236 yards. So we have 472 yards altogether, which is almost equal to a jumbo size, right? Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo. So that's interesting. How many rows of a particular... Oh, the possibilities are endless. But here I'm sitting thinking, okay, if I were to make motifs with this, how many motifs would I be able to put out with 472 yards? 10 ounces. A lot. You know? Some of these vintage yarns, friends, are just too precious. I'm like, wow, Juan. You know, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime ordeal. Like, you get to work with these yarns once in a lifetime. I might not be able to put 10 ounces on this. Let me see. We'll see. I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to see how far I can push it. The fibers are flying up into my nose. Some people, I mentioned before, like, about the fibers and things, and they were like, Juan, you should wear a mask. I honestly, I mean, with me being in front of the camera, it's just, I think it would be off-putting to be sitting here talking to you guys about all the things with the mask on, you know? So in this one rare instance, I would have to sadly decline doing that, just because I want you guys to see me doing all the things, you know? I want you to see my face, and I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you get me, right? So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to unwind this section right here. It's still the same skein. I wonder if it came from two different people, but what are the odds of it being the same lot? Okay, it's not the same lot. What was I thinking to even check? I should have already known that. It's not the same lot. But, I mean, and honestly, they shouldn't be caked up onto the same cake because they're different lots. But, you know what? It's vintage yarn, friends. You know? We're allowed to have a little bit of leeway with this and just enjoy it for what it is. So, there we go. Okay, let me sit this over there. And I'm going to backtrack to the beginning here. Not much to go. It wasn't really too much, you know. There we go. So all I'm doing is I'm just knotting it up just like this. Maybe I'll do a second knot as like a reinforcement in the same spot. And then I pull apart up top, and then I pull apart at the bottom, and we are good to go. Maybe I should... No, I'm not going to trim. So, a little lesson that I've learned. I had a project where this was the case, right? I was working a cake, and I didn't leave tails here. And so the knot ended up in a place where, like, it was noticeable, and, you know, it just... I should have had tails to be able to, like, sew in and pull the knot to another side. So long story short, you know, if you're going to do something like this, if you can help it, try to leave some sort of a tail and worry about it later when you get to it when you're working your project. You'll find that maybe you'll need this to be able to, like, secure, you know, that knot in a position that hides it, you know? So, just some friendly advice. You don't have to take it, but just some advice. Okay, let me open this up. It's kind of tight. Let's make it nice and loose. Okay. There we go. It was so tight for a second there. I'm like, I'm not getting any yarn out of there. So as the cake gets bigger, it actually pulls a lot more out faster, if that makes any sense. And see, since I have a little bit of a lip here, not much, but since you can still see the lip, you can still keep going. It's when you can't see that lip anymore, then you're like, okay, you need to quit. Or when it starts hitting the pole, which we have a little bit of a ways to go. So, that's super nice. How awesome is this? What if we could get an entire 10-ounce bunch of yarn all in one cake on one try here? How awesome would that be? We're about to find out, and I think we're going to do it. Let's see. I'm already more than halfway through this skein. It's coming out very quickly. Let's see. We're almost at the finishing point, you know, because down here you can barely see it anymore. It's getting heavy. Come on, Juan. Let's push the limit and see what we can make here. That's a huge cake. But that's okay. We're going to do it. Yep. Wow, I'm so impressed. Knitpicks, friends. 23 bucks. It's so good. I'm going to put the link to this ball winder in the show notes. If you don't have a ball winder and you want something that's moderately priced, yeah, I highly recommend this. So as I mentioned in the other video, I have a Stanwood ball winder. Yeah, I have that. But it's still in the box because I don't need it. Like, I bought that because it was recommended to me, which, listen, it's a great recommendation. It's one of the best ones out there, but this is also good. Yep, for 23 bucks. A deal and a steal. Love this for us. And this is one huge cake, and I love it. So good. Okay, so let's just pull that nice and tight. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And it's not even hitting the pole. Let me tilt this around. I don't know if you can see that. See? How awesome is that? Anyway, okay. Since I used 10 ounces, let's fold it in half like that. And we're going to fold it like this, okay? And then I'm going to pull that slip knot out. See that slip knot there? I'm just going to pull it out off to the side. I'm going to put the paper right there. Just sit it right there. And as I push this up, I'm pushing down on the paper, you know, to just kind of like, hold on. Let me just make sure it's not getting caught on anything. It's not. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I really am impressed. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. So now, just push this up. And there we have it. Let me just make sure that we're in the middle there. Yes, we are. Okay. There we have it. Okay, that's a huge cake. Look how big that cake is. I was determined to get those two skeins together. Yes, I was. When there's a will, there's a way, my friends. Okay? So, there's that. All right, so let's come to the bin. Let's look at the bin, my friends. So, I have some things here, right? But I also have these two. This one right here reminds me of Wildflower. I don't know if that's vintage or not. Before I cake this up, I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to play around with this. I have Wildflower in the other room, so I have to dig and look. If it is Wildflower, I'm not including it. This is vintage specific only, so that can't be a thing just yet. But what I do have in here, it is all vintage, okay? So we have Red Heart Super Saver pulling, which obviously we're not going to use it for pulling. But look at that recipe. Let me show you this. Look at this. How awesome is that? I'm sorry about the glare, but look at that. Isn't that nice? That's so cool. The colorway here, what is the colorway here? This is called Papaya Pulling. I don't know if that's vintage. I'm going to have to look that up. Yeah, I don't think this is vintage. So I'm going to set that to the side. Okay. If it is, I'll bring it back. But vintage only. Okay. So this is vintage because it's got a Woolworths tag on it. Look at that. Woolworths. So this here is called Rambling Rose. So nice. Okay. That's next. So this here is Rambling Rose. It's Red Heart Premier. So it's 3 ounces at 85 grams. Super nice, right? And let's see here. Does it have a crochet hook? Yes. Size H, 5 millimeters. 3 stitches and 4 rows equal an inch. Worsted weight 4-ply. And this was made in the USA in Jacksonville, Florida. Coates and Clark Incorporated. And you know what I love about this? It are the instructions. You know, it tells you like which side to pull first, which side to pull second, and you work these from the inside out, which is nice. Okay, so there you have it, just like that. They don't make them like this anymore. Well, maybe they do, I don't know. You know, I'm just impartial to all of the vintage yarns because they're beautiful. They just don't make the colors like they used to. Anyway, so as I mentioned before, slip knot. Let me not get too crazy with it. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that right on the ball winder like that. Just like that. Okay, let me take this off. Set that to the side. Let me bring that over here. Okay. Okay. Let me just make sure we're not tangled up on the other end here, because this end of any skein likes to get tangled with the other end. So always make sure that's away. Okay? All right. So tension as always. Okay. Let me just loosen it up. Okay, we should be okay now. Let me hold the table down. Holding the table down, my friends. Rambling Rose. That's pretty. I love the green in that. And the rosy pink, it's not like a poppy pink, like, you know, like a highlighter neon pink. It's like a subdued, very like conservative pink. You know, it's pink but not in your face. It's nice. And then with that white, it's very classic 90s. Yeah, it's giving me 90s vibes. Anyway, this is working out very nicely. So whenever when you're caking up a skein and it's like naggy, what I like to do, and it does help. So let's say you're caking up your skein and it's like catching somewhere. What I do is I do one of these numbers. Just do this all around your skein like this. I don't know, it does something positive for this. You just go like this, yank it a few times, and you're golden. I don't know why, but it works. It's worked for me all the time. I just did it. So I highly recommend that. When a skein is giving you an issue, just do that. You're fine. So, yeah. I'm looking for the skeins that have recipes on them, that have like patterns. I am so excited to work some of these vintage patterns. And what I like most is looking at the vintage pattern and then putting my twist on it. You know? Like, how can I make that something that like I would want to wear right now, you know? Let's see here. There we go. We're getting close towards the outer ring, which this will happen. Because remember, these yarns have been sitting in bags and boxes, and it's just, it hasn't been touched in years. So like now that it's finally being touched, you're hearing the static, which You can eliminate that by putting a fabric softener sheet in your hand. Like, you see how I'm holding this? If you held the yarn with a fabric softener sheet, all the static would go away. But, yeah, I'm good. It doesn't matter to me. You know, I'll worry about the static after it's worked and put into the washer and the dryer. So, yeah. What I might do is lay flat to dry. I've been on that kick lately. Even with like my acrylics, I'm pointing up there because I have a whole thing of Caron 1 pound up there. I love working it because it's durable, you know, and it lasts forever. So anyway, I'm on this kick where I'll wash and lay flat to dry. It feels better for some reason. So if I'm going to add fabric softener to my projects, it'll be in the washer and not the dryer sheet. Even though I do have them, you know, sometimes it is necessary to use a dryer sheet. But this isn't one of those times. So we're getting all knotted up over here. It's fine. I mean, I can't imagine how many years this has sat as a skein. I mean, obviously since it was made, obviously, but like it wasn't recent. It's so weird. In a good way, you know? I think about those weird things. I'm like, how long has this sat in a bag before someone touches it, you know? Or how long before it got moved from like a bag to a box before someone thought, okay, let me work that. Oh, never mind. Let me go ahead and put that away. You know? So interesting to me. And then the stiffening agents, very different from now compared to before. You know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, the yarns were so nice back then. But in reality, I mean, we have technology now that was non-existent back then. Some of these acrylic yarns are rough, you know, I'm the first one to admit, but also all of these acrylics met its match. I'll work with burlap. I don't care. It could be rough like sandpaper. I'll still work it. Doesn't matter to me. I have like, I don't want to say calloused hands, but I have rough hands. I'm totally okay with it. You know, I know a lot of folks, you know, they're sensitive to all that kind of thing, but that's okay. You know, just give all the rough stuff to me. It's fine. I'll work it up. I will say I do have, I put a limit at rope. I don't want a crochet rope. No, thank you. Okay, finally, at long last, we have reached the end of this skein. So Rambling Rose comes to an end. Perfect. Love that for us. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull some back so we can go around, do like a revolution. No, I don't know what you call that. I know, but my brain's not functioning properly right now. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to take this, fold it like this, Rambling Rose, pull this out, put this in here like that, push this down and pull this out like that. There we go. Super nice. Cool beans. Okay, so next, what do we have? I've been waiting to work this. Yep, now's the time. So TG&Y, Sail Yarn, and this colorway is called Wild Berry. Isn't that amazing? I say it's amazing because it's deep dark purples, and I love a good dark purple. Like aubergine is my favorite color, but I'm impartial to all shades of purple. Like I will make a wearable in a purple shade that maybe I should not be wearing just because it doesn't look right. I love all shades of purple, even the ones that look, you know, out there. I just love purple. I don't know why. Just do. So let me just pop this open. Look at that. That ball band has been on there for quite some time. Wow. It smells good too. I love it when yarn smells like, It reminds me of my grandmother's house in a good way, you know? Not like mothballs, but like, you know, a homey house with like fresh baked cookies and, you know, that's what this smells like. It smells so good. Okay, there's that. And where are we here? Okay. Oof. This is that rough acrylic I was just talking about. Oh yeah, we have some yarn barf in here. And this is that, yeah, this is that rough acrylic. But that's okay. This colorway makes up for it. 1000%. I'm here for this. Yep. It's okay. There we go. We'll get through this together, friends. I love this color. I love this color. It makes everything irrelevant. I'm oogling and googling at the purples and the blues and all the things. Love this. Love this. How fast can I untangle yarn barf? Let's see. I'm amazed at how great this smells. You know, it doesn't smell musty. There's no like unusual odor to it. It just smells like my grandmother's house, the way it used to smell. Love that. Ugh. When I smell these, like when they smell like this, it just brings back memories, you know? I remember my grandmother and my aunt, they had their own project bags, right? And no one was allowed in their project bag, you know, because they had their hooks in them and all the things, you know. But they constantly would be like, did you go in my bag? They always towards each other. Like, my grandmother would say to my aunt, didn't I tell you to not go in my project bag? I can't find my hook. Where is my hook? And here's the kicker. My aunt and my grandmother had the same name. So my grandmother's name was Emily, and my aunt was also Emily. Yeah. So they didn't call each other Emily, to say the least. I'm just saying. I just found that fascinating. Like, I knew to my aunt, she was Annie M. And my grandmother was called Nan. So we called her Nanny. So, but yeah, they both had the same name. And then, so I don't know if it was a reasoning, but the story behind it was my grandmother's first daughter was named after her, which was Emily. And then my aunt's first daughter was named after her. So she's also named Emily. Yeah. And then it stopped after that. So Emily. 3 generations of Emilys. Yep. And only 2 of the 3 crocheted. So the other Emily really wasn't into it because it just wasn't her thing, you know? And it's not everybody's thing, but, you know, at least they were tolerable. They tolerated each other, you know? All the yarn talk and things. So the youngest Emily just wasn't here for any of the yarn talk, you know? But the other 2 always, you know, they talked patterns, they talked recipes, hooks, you know? And I always kept my ears open, listening, being nosy, asking all the questions, and yeah. But my cousin Emily, you know, she just wasn't in it. I know she tried it. She tried crocheting. She knew how to do it, but she just didn't care for it. Yeah, the 3 Emilys. So Nan, Annie M, and then Emmy. So Emmy was my cousin, you know. So, yep. And I think Emmy's favorite color was not purple. It was actually red. She was into all the reds. You know, not with crochet, but in life. Like, red everything. You know. She loved red. So, yeah, this is working out quite nicely so far. And look at how nice the cake looks. Isn't that nice? Nice and dark, you know, very bold and dark. I love that for us. This is some stiff yarn because it's still keeping shape, right? It's got like one ring left and it's still keeping its shape. It may collapse soon, who knows? But this is one great skein of vintage yarn, my friends. I love this skein of yarn. I may make something special out of this and not include it in my project. That's how much I love this yarn. And I only have the one skein of it. That's okay. I'm going to make something special with this one skein. Mark my words. Yep. This very stiff, medium 4-weight yarn. I'm going to do something nice with it. You watch. I'm not going to make a hat with it. I might do like a triangle scarf, but like start in the corner, like with one double crochet and then one becomes two becomes like 3 or 4, and just do that. But I don't know because I only have this one skein, so I may have to throw windows into it. I don't want to run it with another yarn. It's too exclusive. Like, this is beautiful. You know? I don't know. I might have to include it into the project because if I start a project and I run out of this yarn, I'm going to be like, why did I even do that? You know? So I don't know. But all I know is I am enamored by this colorway. I love this. This is beautiful. I keep saying it over and over again because it's true. It's beautiful. I love it. It's so good. I'm trying to think, like, do we have enough time to cake up another one? Yeah, we do. Why not? Because we can. Hopefully you guys are working your whips and things. And by the way, friends, if you enjoy this, give me a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, friends. You know, we do all the things here. You know, I'm caking up yarn. I bag up yarn. We do whip it with wine. I pull a whip basket out. I just work on my project and I just babble at my gums. You know, just do all the things, you know. You guys can work on your whips. We can hang out and have a good time, you know. If that's your jam, if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're not sure, look at some of the other videos. You know, if you like that, then hopefully I could earn your subscription. It's free. Okay. Let's see. What else can we cake up here? You know what I want to cake up? I want to cake up this honey spun. Yes, I do. I have 2 skeins of this, and we're going to do another twofer. I'm going to try and do like 2 of these skeins into one huge cake. It just makes life easier, you know what I mean? So I don't have to be like, where's that other one at? It's already on here. So, okay, so it's called Heritage. And this was sold at Target for 99 cents. But maybe it's another Target. Look at the label. You can just tell how aged this is. There's no date on here, or is there? Let's see. Let me take this off. Let me open this up now, very carefully. Carefully, Juan, carefully. So, this is a herringbone Afghan. That's pretty. It says it needs 15 skeins of off-white, 15 skeins of tan, 3 skeins of rosewood. Wow, that's a lot of skeins. No date on here, but the recipe is on here. How awesome is that? So the recipes are going to go in the cake until I, need it to put away into the binder. This one actually didn't come out so hot, but that's okay. We're going to hold on to it anyway. There we go. All right. So we have both ends separated. So that's the one end, and then this side is the one that's inside the skein. And then my nose is stuffy now because of all the fibers in the air, but that's fine. We're getting through this. Let's create a slip knot on the hook. I'm in tutorial mode. Let's create a slip knot just like that, and then slip it on just like that. Okay. Nice and slow to get it started. Let me put this over here. There we go. A couple yanks. Okay. Let's get this party started. Let's hold the table down. Okay, and we're off to the horse races. We're good. I love this color story here because you have the browns, the taupes, and then you have this, pop of blue, but it's not like your normal blue. Maybe it's a teal, right? Yeah, maybe that's teal, right? Yeah, that's teal. It's a great whole color sequence. I love it. Yep. But that's a lot of skeins of yarn for that pattern, though. I mean, times have changed. You don't need to have 55 skeins for one blanket, Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for the season. Maybe it was meant to be like this very thick, no holes type blanket. Who knows? How many ounces is on this? This is a 3-ounce skein, so combined 6 ounces, yeah, we're going to be just fine. Both of these are going to come on just fine. Does it have a hook recommendation? Now I'm curious. So, what's the hook suggestion? Oh, hook size I. Okay. Maybe that was just like the universal size for all medium 4-weight yarns. I'm not sure. Because it's very rare for me to see a vintage yarn with a suggestion outside of like an H or an I for a medium 4-weight yarn. Nowadays, you'll see a 4-weight yarn with like a 6.5 millimeter hook recommendation, depending on what it is, So, yeah, I find that fascinating. How different hook sizes can be with certain kinds of yarns nowadays. But again, I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The technology of today's yarns is, it just doesn't compare to like how it used to be. Back in the day, things were so simple, You had DuPont acrylic, you had Orlon acrylic, but at the end of the day, it was acrylic, Now, they're mixing things where you have 22% of this and 10% of this and 8% of this. I'm sure they had mixes of things, they had recipes back in the day, but like now, yeah, it just doesn't compare. In a good way, That's what's great about today's technology. Like you have all of these like lattice yarns and like, I just find it fascinating. But I still have a very deep appreciation for our vintage yarns. I always will. Because it brings me back to like the days of my grandmother and my aunt. And, even like when my mom would crochet and things. My mom was a very simple person back then too, like she is today. So she wasn't about all the fancy yarns. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen my mom work with variegated yarn back in the day. It was always solid colors. Solid colors and yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach the second one on here. Let's just do one of these numbers. Let's pull it out. I feel yarn barf coming. Let's just pull it out, deal with it. Come on. Okay, so we should be good. Move that out of the way. Let's come back. Yeah, this teal is really nice up against those shades of brown and taupes and things. It's so nice. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do like a double knot here. Okay. And just pull on both ends like that. And again, as I mentioned before, I forgot if I mentioned this, but just in case, I keep the tails attached because depending on what you're working on or where you're at in your project, you may need to sew in these tails to kind of hide the knot. So, yep. So I keep it on there. Here we go. Come on. Nope. Come on. Okay, it's the static. It's very staticky. But that's okay. We love that for us. Come on, Juan. Okay. Are we gonna go, or are we gonna go? No, we're not gonna go. It's fine. We're not gonna go. It's gonna be a thing. But that's okay. We'll get through this. Once I get past that inner, there's like this inner layer. Are we there yet? Yes, we're there. Okay. There was just this one section I needed to get past. I think we did it. I think. Yes. Okay, good. We're good. It just took a minute to get here. But we're here. We're good. Yay for us. Yay for heritage. The colorway heritage. Very nice. So these muted colors would look great next to bold pops of like neons. Yeah, I love contrast like that when I'm working up projects in vintage variegated yarns. I've done a few projects with vintage variegated yarns, and so like motifs and things. Yeah, you definitely want contrast. That's how you're going to make it pop. You either make it all the same, which I mean, it's groundbreaking, right? But you know, if you want to like a wow factor, you know, think outside of the box. Pick colors that you would not imagine, you know, going next to this. So, see? Like do a motif with a black border, motif with a black border right up next to each other. Or, look at this, you know? It's so much fun. Just planning out, you know, your color sequence, color stories. I know that like when I go to work this all together, all up in one project, what I'm looking for is a balance of color tones. Like I want to make sure that muted colors are spaced out correctly and not saturated all in like one place. And I want to make sure like the neons are, you know, clearly visible and they all pop. I mean, it's going to be a statement piece, and it's going to be like one of those things where you have to sit and stand back and actually look at it for a minute. That's what makes it awesome, you know? Like, it's thought-provoking. It's like, okay, well, what was the thought behind putting those groups of colors together in that way, you know? That's why I like working like these kinds of projects. I mean, and then vintage variegated yarns, I mean, a lot of the color sequences that you see in these yarns just aren't happening now. Case in point, so the kaleidoscope backed up against Mexicana. So this here is kaleidoscope. Okay? Now, the color changes are very short, and it's intentional. Like some are just inches, you know, very small. That's intentional because, you know, it's supposed to be worked up like each stitch is its own color. Whereas with Mexicana, it's the same colors, but it's spaced out a lot wider. So you have bits and bobbles of like the same color. And it's more of like a spectrum, like a prism. Whereas this is very like, okay, we're going to go red to purple to green to orange, and then back to red, and then back to purple. There's no, like, rhyme or reason behind kaleidoscope. So, yeah. Similar, but very different. And nowadays, you just don't see that. Like, you know, you don't see identical yarns worked up so differently that it makes you sit there and think, like, why did they make kaleidoscope that way? You know? You just don't see that. I wish you did, but nope. Not in my experience anyway. I can't really speak for like everything that's out there because there's just so many kinds of yarns out there. So I don't know. But in my experience, that's kind of what I've seen. So Anyway, I don't know if I said this yet, but like, I really hope you're enjoying this. Just my whole babbling situation. I just talk about all the things, whatever comes to my mind, I talk about it, And, if this is something that you like, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you. If you're not sure, check some of the other videos, I have Whip It with Wands, I have tutorials, I have yarn baggings, yarn cakings, I have podcast episodes where I showcase yarn, I do yarn reviews. I try to do a little bit of everything to just give variety so you're not looking at the same thing each time you see me, But if that is something that you're interested in, consider subscribing. It's free. I'd love to have you. And obviously, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. That's for sure. Please. Love that for me, for us. So let me go ahead and put this in here like this. Just push right here in the middle and pull this out and up. That's a tight wind. There we go. Did I get it in there? Yes, I did. Okay, good. Yep. Okay, so we made this one. Let me pull that back. We made this one. Rambling Rose. We made Butterfly. We made Earthy. I'm so proud of this. Look at that. It's a huge cake. Love this for us. Okay? And then this. My stars. Isn't that nice? That purple. My goodness. Anyway, friends. So that wraps up this, I don't want to say episode, but it wraps up this session of Caking Up Vintage Yarns. I really hope you liked it. I know I've said it multiple times, but I would really love to have you here. Yeah, so that's it for this video, my friends. And until the next one, take care. Bye.